full spoilers for the Spider-Verse, so if you don't want to be spoiled, and by the way, it's a good movie. You should see it. But if you don't want to be spoiled, then skedaddle. Okay. It was really good. It was really, really good. I was sorry. Normally, praising something is often less interesting than criticizing it in a lot of ways, I think. And I'm really sorry. It was really good. It was really good. It's a really good movie. I know a lot of people were concerned I wouldn't like it, but I'm sorry. I can't maintain a mirage of disaffection here for the purpose of keeping up the meme that I have bad media takes. It's really, really good. I'd give that like an easy 5 out of 5. This movie will be like this movie will be like a wellspring origin point, future artists' careers. I would go so far as to say that I would say that from an animation perspective, it might actually be the most impressive movie I've ever seen or heard of. From an animation perspective, from a purely technical level, the artistry in constructing the movie, the construction of the movie, purely in a like artist is sitting down there planning, designing, might actually be the best ever, more than Akira. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. Way beyond. No, Akira is an amazing film, not for its animation, but for other stuff. Yeah. No. God, I'm talking like the technical element of animation, the artistry in it. I do not know if there is a movie better than that. For that reason, that is pretty remarkable. That's remarkable on its own. There will be so one of the things that I really like, and one of the things that made me excited about watching this movie was that if you go on Twitter right now, a ton of people who worked on it are like really excitedly showing the processes for the shots that they made, which means like there are a lot of young, cool people who worked on this movie and put like passion into constructing these shots. There's something that okay. Have you guys heard the term Sakuga? Like really good animation. It's like if you're watching an anime, you know how like in television anime where there's like 12 episodes to a season, most stuff isn't animated that much because animation is really expensive, and then it'll be like, here's the big fight scene at the end. Here we go. And oftentimes what you'll see is that they'll have a guest animator or like the big guy come in for that scene and supervise like a really cool bit that feels and like animation wise distinct from other parts of the anime and is really, really good, right? This happens all the time. A good example would be One Punch Man, where this happens all the time. Like they brought in a ton of animators to do this for. The entire Spider-Man movie was like this all the time, constantly, nonstop, all the time, relentlessly. Every moment of the film was engaging and intriguing and awe-inspiring from an artistic perspective, and that's super fucking cool. Okay, so that's the show us? No, go watch the movie. So that's fantastic for one. Like genuinely like shocking, like how good it was. Okay, so that's the animation, right? In terms of everything else, I also really liked it. Guys, I'm sorry. I think that on an emotional level, the film did a really good job. I think that it hit basic emotional beats with incredible competence, meaning that you have the classics like superhero has difficulty telling the people they love about their powers, estrangement from family, a difficulty in knowing like what you want to do versus what you have to do. Like all of that's really standard stuff, especially in the superhero genre. But genuinely, I think they did a really good job. Yeah, I loved Miles' parents. I think that they did a phenomenal job with Miles' parents. I think that I loved them. I loved seeing them. Normally in superhero films, I tend to think of like the people around the superhero conflict as kind of annoying. I didn't like MJ in the Spider-Man trilogy. I tend not to like Lois Lane and Superman stuff, not because I dislike the character, but because the writers do a bad job of making them interesting as anything more than like, here are the weak, fleshy people the superheroes are worried about the safety of. You know, so often that is the only context in which these characters are introduced and like kept on screen. Like they are the weaklings that the superhero has to like, you know, they're like a pull away from the thing that you want to see, right? because either they pull the superhero away from the cool like superheroing stuff, or away from like the scenes where they could be interacting with other more interesting characters. That was not the case here. Miles' parents were great. Gwen's parent, I thought I liked his presence on screen. I just liked it. I just fucking liked it. I loved the Spot. He was great. I know he wasn't voiced by Edward Norton, but I heard his voice as Edward Norton's, which immediately made him like dangerous to me because Edward Norton has the voice of a psychopath. Um, the Spot, obviously fucking terrifying. I loved all of them. Okay, I love punk, anarchist, British Spider-Man. Why is nobody talking about Indian Spider-Man? I loved him. I loved him. He was great, and I loved him. Why aren't more people talking about him? Yeah, everyone talks about Spider-Punk. More people need to talk about the Indian Spider-Man guy. Because I loved him. I loved the Dubai Manhattan. I loved how big it was. I loved everything about it. I loved it. I adored it. It was just a really good movie, you know? Yeah, Indian Spider-Man's design was immaculate. It looked really, really, really good. Mumbai, Manhattan, not Dubai. Okay, yeah, it's just big. Yeah, okay. Mumbai, yeah. Mumbattan, yes, yes. As an anarchist, we focus on our guy. I just really liked the movie, okay? I loved Gwen's presence. I think we've kind of done the same thing as in other movies that I really don't like. So for those who don't know, the central like difficulty in the plot is that there are multiverses of Spider-Man, and all Spider-Men have tragedies that have to happen to them as part of like the canon timeline of their story. Meaning that like if you are a Spider-Man, if you are a person who is Spider-Man, then some things have to happen, or like there are drastic consequences for the multiverse. And basically the problem is that our Spider-Man, the main character, is like himself an anomaly, a product of a mistake in the timeline. And that has led to a kind of cascading effect that has led to more and more difficulty broadly across the multiverse. And then an absolute hunky beefcake of a man called Miguel O'Hara, who's a Spider-Man from the future, has gathered together a task force of Spider-Men from the different multiverses in order to like clean up this mess. And the big like through line, Miguel, yes, the big through line he's the Spider-Man from this universe, and the big like difficulty at the end is that Miles learns that his father has to die. And that's like a canon event for him, and the universe will go upside down if his father doesn't die. And Miguel O'Hara, whatever, is basically like, bro, you have to let your dad die or the universe is doomed, so I'm going to keep you in this box. Of course, because this is a movie, Miles breaks out and the narrative is like, okay, well, you may want this for me, but I'm going to do my own thing. And the thing that really bothers me, and I know they're not making Miguel out to be a bad guy, necessarily, more of an antagonist than a villain, but the thing that really bothers me is I really wish the movie would give me more of a reason to believe that Miles is correct, because it really bothers me when like the big mean guy says, dude, we can't let you do this thing, the world will end if you do. I know you want to save your friend, but the world will end. And then every time the protagonist is like, no, there has to be another way. And they have no idea if there will be another way. They're just saying it. And then they like escape and do their own thing. And of course it always works out for them. The point is that Miles might not be right. No. Narratively, I don't think it's left up in the air enough. I don't think so. We see this happen all the time in movies. And this is, you know what this is? This is anti-utilitarian racism, okay? So often, you will have a guy who has done the math, and he's like, listen, the thing we have to do is bad, but not doing it would be worse. So we have to choose the lesser evil because the only other choice is the bigger evil, and that's worse than the lesser evil. And then every time the protagonist will go, no, I'll find my own way, the third option where everything works out conveniently. And then that happens every single time. Now, I'm going to say, Maybe the third movie will have some balls, and Miles's dad is going to die. The way they set it up at the end made it seem as though the way that Miles's dad survives is by no longer being police captain, because Gwen's dad quit being police captain, which means it's like, well, every Spider-Man has had a police captain close to them die, so if he just doesn't become a captain, then he won't die. That's what they're going to go with. I'm almost sure. I'm almost certain. But I really do wish that like Miles would be forced to reckon with the dynamic a little more than him going like, no, I'll simply find my own way. Please address the Gwen hate and how stupid it is. There's no reason to hate Gwen at all in the story. If you watch this movie and you think that Gwen is like a bad person, then you're dumb. I don't know. Oh, I will say this though. I will say this. The Gwen trans allegory is really obvious. And like, if you don't think that it's obvious, that's fine, but that's you lacking media comprehension. Gwen's dad has a protect trans kids sticker on his shirt or whatever. There is a there's like a trans flag on the wall. And when Gwen is having an impassioned conversation about how there are two halves to her and she doesn't know how to reconcile between them, the background colors literally flush the trans flag colors. I'm not kidding. Not like vaguely blue, pink, and white. Literally the exact like hex code trans color flushes the background. The whole world turns while she's doing like it's really obvious. It's like really, really straightforward. You could say that she's like not trans and it's all meant to be like an allegory, but I mean, her dad literally has protect trans kids on his like, I don't know. Like it seems also she looks trans. She has an undercut. Classic trans girl thing to do. So yeah, it's just, it's not subtle. Like when I was seeing the discourse on Twitter, I was like, okay, maybe people are reading too much into it. Not even remotely subtle. So whatever. Yeah. Like, so she has a dick. It's kind of a weird thing to ask about a 16-year-old girl, Alex Caruso one. Either way, it makes the point really strongly. Yeah. I mean, I think it sets it up like pretty clearly. It's pretty straightforward. It makes zero sense for her to actually be trans. What? Why would it? How would it affect in any way? Wait, no, Anonymous 75. I want clarification on that. What wouldn't make sense? I don't think that plays into the plot at all, or in any way. I don't think that affects the conflict between her and her dad. What? How would the conflict isn't about her being trans? The dad has a protect trans kids sticker thing on the shirt. The conflict is about her being Spider-Woman. Okay, no, never mind. It's fine. Look, it was a really good movie. I think that this movie is going to be one of those like artistic nuclear bombs that goes off that ends up being an inspiration for like an entire generation to come. You know what I mean? In a way, I feel like it's kind of it's going to be a little bit like Flapjack, The Adventures of Flapjack, or maybe like Adventure Time, in the sense where 10 or 20 years from now, we're going to be able to trace a ton of shit happening in the animation field back to this, you know, like a ton of stuff is going, you can just trace like a bunch of lines like a web all the way back to it. The utilitarian stuff does bother me a little bit because I really do think it's kind of morally lazy for you to have someone like Miguel O'Hara, who's clearly like this really smart, passionate dude, to like, you know, like he spent his whole life sacrificing in order to protect the multiverse, and then like a teenager's like, bro, what if just like you believed and everything worked out, you know, woohoo, and then like the kid ends up being right, like that that bothers me. And again, I want to say Miles Morales, I think now a lot of people when they think of Spider-Man will think of Miles. Like when I think of Spider-Man, I think of the trilogy, right, with Tobey Maguire. I don't know if I will anymore. I feel like Miles Morales in these two movies has kind of superseded in my mind, like the archetypal Spider-Man, um, in 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 so many ways. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's really good. I mean, we have both, right? It's literally I mean a multiverse. That's the entire point. We're out of spoilers, right? Nope, we're not out of the spoilers. There will be no end to the spoilers. Would you call this a masterpiece? Yes. Yes, I would call this a masterpiece. Yes, I think so. I do think that. I think this movie is easily a masterpiece. I think that there a lot of when people think of art films or like masterpiece media, what they tend to think of is like really complicated, high level shit, right? Like what's this Synecdoche of New York or whatever, or like some or, they think of some shit that's like really inaccessible. And the Spider-Verse movies are not inaccessible. They are everyone's allowed all access, easy to understand, easy to comprehend superhero films. And they take that and then they do it as best as you can do it. And that's what I like about that. I don't think I'm not pretentious in this respect. I don't think that something becomes better necessarily because it's all complicated and you have to have a degree in English to understand half the words and it's all about the symbols and the analysis and the layers. If you can make something that's really fucking good and really fun that everyone can go in and enjoy, then leave and feel good about it. If you can do that really well, I think that's just as worthy of consideration for high art. 100%. There doesn't need to be a competition between the two, right? Disco Elysium is a video game, maybe the best video game writing that I've ever seen, alongside Pathologic. And it is a bit inaccessible. You got to be a little bit of a brain boy, I think, to play Disco Elysium. Because if you're not, I mean, like you have to engage, I think, with some pretty high level writing and thematic stuff. Not like high level, like you have to be a genius to get it or anything. Just you have to put some effort in. Certainly more than most video games. And I think it's phenomenal, right? But there are plenty of games or other pieces of media that I've seen that are not as complicated on a writing level that I still think are masterpieces on a writing level. It's just a matter of how well you do what you're trying to do. That's it. It's that simple. You set out to make something that is simple and fun, and then you do the hell out of it. That's great. Do you think they'll explicitly say Gwen is trans and how this affected? No. Oh, I just want to say I'm so glad they have not done any overt political commentary in the movie. Holy shit. The movie would be nothing but bogged down and worsened if they had done anything explicit with transness or with like race. For example, racial overtones are all over the movie. Miles is black. His mom is Puerto Rican. Gwen is a white girl, and so much of the dynamic between Miles, Gwen, and Miles's parents, I feel like a lot of black people are going to look at the dynamic and go like, "Oh my god!" Right? Like it's like Gwen saying the first names of Miles' parents when they consider that disrespectful. There's a lot of shit there where it's like where the movie could have easily done like a race thing or something where Gwen could have said something like disrespectful or inconsiderate, and then Miles would have said something like, "Oh, over here in Brooklyn or something." But thankfully, it was kept a subtext in a way that I think it was done very intelligently, and I'm very thankful they did that, and I hope they keep it that way. Nobody is going to walk away from Across the Spider-Verse with like reactionary messaging in interpretation. Nobody's going to come away from this going like, "Oh, my political positions on this are now worse," which wouldn't have been the case if they had explicitly had like racial discourse in the middle of this balls to the wall hyper animated spider action movie. No, they're not going to do it. I hope they don't do it. They're not going to do it. I'm glad they didn't do it. So thank God for that. Same with the trans thing. There's no reason to have a subplot in these movies about Gwen being trans. There's no reason at all. Literally none. The Vulture was great. Yeah. 100%. Everything was great. It was great. It was fucking great. It's really good. It's very, very, very good. Yeah, I haven't noticed many conservatives complaining about this movie, and I think a large part of that is because it's so unambiguously good that it would be like kind of like a bad move politically to make a big issue of it, to an extent. Also, you know, if you did so, like I don't know what the actual outcome would be if you actually tried to do that. Vosh hasn't even mentioned Spider Horse. Curious. I really liked all the different spider people. Oh, and that machine, the spider machine that sent people to their own dimensions, that was a very like menacing. I like that machine a lot. That was quite spooky looking. I like that a lot. Thoughts on the ending? Well, the whole theme with the story here, like the first movie kept repeating like here's this Spider-Man and here's their story, right? Miles Morales, here's my story. I've been the only Spider-Man for 2 days in Brooklyn, blah blah blah. And then in this one, the resounding theme seems to be everyone else is trying to tell Miles what his story is, but he wants to make his own story. Now, the obvious thematic through line here is like spider people, Spider-Man, whatever, are supposed to have somebody close to them die, but Miles Morales does not want, like, he doesn't want that, so he's going to break the fabric. He's going to like break the mold. He's going to be a Spider-Man who doesn't have his father die. And the last movie is called Beyond the Spider-Verse, which suggests to me that, yeah, that is the direction that they're going. I don't mind him breaking the cycle there. I do mind I guess the denigration of the work put into Miguel O'Hara's like utilitarian argument for the death of his father. I hopefully more gets put into that. Maybe it will. I shouldn't underestimate the people making these movies, clearly, because they know what they're doing. So, we'll see how that goes. Um and that seems to be the direction they're going to go. Like he's going to do his own thing. He's going to be his own Spider-Man. Fucking great. Great. I think it's good. It's a good direction to take things. That already happened though. Vosh is Uncle Aaron in the last movie. Yeah, but like it has to happen twice apparently, right? How do you feel about this? I'm not arguing with her. Whatever you say, beautiful, gorgeous angel with 58,000 likes. I agree completely with this tweet. I will never argue with you, beautiful, gorgeous angel. Whatever you say is correct. I agree completely. Politically, I'm fully on board with the message of this tweet. Yeah, she's very pretty. Poor Penny Parker. Well, we'll see more of her. Yeah, good movie. It's good. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. So it's very, very good. It's very extremely good. I love the movie. Very good. That's all I have to say. It's very good. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to belabor the point.